What is going on, everybody? It is Jamil with MILMID Studios. Thank you so much for tuning in to another video. Today we have a special video because we are testing out two lenses, a classic, the Summicron 35 f2 version 3 released in the 1970s, and then we have a more modern lens, the Zeiss 35 f2 Biogon, the M mount. Beautiful lens, newer. It was released, I believe, in the early 2000s. So if you guys have been following the channel, you would know that I recently bought this Leica M11P. Super excited about it. And guys, you probably heard in my voice, I'm getting over a sickness, so I haven't been able to go out and really do any shooting, and it's been super cold out here. So that being said, I've been doing a bit of shooting around the house. Whenever we would go for little day trips around town, I'd bring the camera and just do some family pictures and whatnot. So really enjoying the experience of the rangefinder. This is my first rangefinder. I'm a rookie, but I'm really enjoying the learning process. Before we get into the video, guys, two things. I want you to check out Dehancer.com. They sent me a t-shirt. I've been using their program for maybe just about a year. It's a super cool film emulation plugin that works for a variety of editing software. I use it for Adobe. Definitely check them out at www.dehancer.com. See what they're all about. If it's something that you could use to enhance your workflow, be sure at checkout to use my promo code MILMID, and that also supports the channel. Also, guys, on a more personal note, be sure to check out www.milmidstudios.com/store. You can see my presets that I have on sale right now, and I have some sweaters, t-shirts, and even mugs. I want to really push out some photo-centric photography gear. I think it will be great. You guys check it out, and if you could support the channel, that would be greatly appreciated. So for this comparison, what I'm mostly interested in is to see the characteristic differences between these two lenses. One thing that I really like to compare is the bokeh and how these lenses render bokeh. I put the Leica M11P on a tripod and dialed in focus, and I snapped away 4 total pictures, 2 on the Zeiss, 2 on the Summicron. 2 of the 4 photos are both of these lenses shot wide open at f2, so we're going to compare both these lenses shot wide open to see how the bokeh looks, how the quality of the image, how soft or clinically sharp it is. And then 2 of the other photos are both these lenses stopped down to f4. Now, what are my predictions? My prediction with the Summicron being a 50-year-old lens, this will be more of a character lens. I would expect it to be a little bit softer. I would expect the Zeiss to be sharper, being a new glass with new technology. And I think objectively, just on paper, the Zeiss is an optically superior lens. But then we get into the question of, do you want a clinically sharp lens or do you want a character lens? I think that your camera kit should have both, to be quite honest with you. But we're looking at 2 lenses with quite different price tags. The Zeiss, you're looking for more bang for your buck, and you are potentially getting a better overall lens for less, simply because it's not a Leica lens. Whereas with the Leica, you're paying a lot for the name, you're paying for the quality, and I mean, it's an iconic lens, the version 3. You're looking at a 50-year-old lens, so to own something like that is interesting. To own something like that is really cool. So, you know, it comes down to what's important to you. Okay, guys, so without further ado, we are going to get into Lightroom, and I did glance at these photos, and because I did that, we're starting at the f4 images. The f2 images, very interesting, and I'm very interested to see what you guys think about the results. So let's go to Lightroom. Okay, guys, so we are in Lightroom, and we're looking at the f4 images. I would say ignore what you see here. These are clearly not accurate. Both these images were shot at the same settings. The only changes that I've made in Lightroom is I've increased the exposure 1 stop because I've set my Leica M11 to underexpose 1 stop. So on the left, we have the Leica Summicron 35 f2. On the right, we have the Zeiss 35 f2 Biogon. Both images look fairly similar. I would say that the Leica on the left is warmer, just by a touch, warmer than the Zeiss in the way that it renders. Like I said, these are not color corrected or anything. This is straight out of camera, except I have increased the exposure 1 stop for both, I should say all images. So let's zoom in. We're zoomed at 99% here. There we go. So as you can see here, both images look sharp. At f4, you know, the lettering, the words that you could read here, they all look sharp. It looks quite comparable. The only thing that I can tell as a difference is that the Leica lens is warmer. There's a bit more yellow, orange tones in these images. So let's check out this bokeh. At f4, the bokeh looks quite comparable. I mean, look at that. It almost looks identical. In this image right here, you can see a little bit more clear that the Leica is warmer, like I've said 3 times already. This definitely on the Zeiss side is a bit more cool. Let's move over to the other bokeh balls. They look, honestly, very comparable. So I'll let you take a look at that and you can judge for yourself. So in terms of quality and sharpness, guys, for a 50-year-old lens, this thing holds up quite well to this newer Zeiss lens. So, I mean, when you think about lens technology, especially when it comes to manual lenses, we're not dealing with too much of a difference. Okay, guys, so now for the final comparison. We have 2 photos here. On the left, again, we have the Leica. On the right, we have the Zeiss. These are both stopped down to f2. Okay, so these are shot wide open. As you can see here, guys, again, we do have that color difference. Warmer on the Leica, cooler on the Zeiss. Definitely a pattern here. And if you're asking me what I prefer, I do prefer the warmer colors over the cooler colors. Now here's where it gets funky. Okay, so my eyes go to the AF on. If you compare both these images, look how much hazier and even softer, if you will, the Summicron looks from the Zeiss. The Zeiss is a sharp lens. This is at f2, and you're still maintaining that clinical sharpness, whereas the character on the Summicron changes so drastically. Now, to some people, that may be quite a negative, but like I said, this is more so a character lens. And so you have to be careful how you judge it because it's very subjective. I just thought that was very interesting to see the difference wide open. At f4, it was pretty much the exact same, other than the color differences. Whereas now at f2, we're seeing more characteristic changes. So let's take a look at, we'll take a look at more of the camera, and then we'll check the bokeh. The Summicron is way softer than the Zeiss. There's no question about that. Look at that. And mind you, these are both shot on a tripod. Okay, let's take a look at this first bokeh ball. On the left, the Leica, on the right, the Zeiss. We have a bit more roundness on the Zeiss when you compare the two. These ones are a bit more similar. And again, it's really a toss-up with these bokeh balls at f2. Now on this one, you can see this is more oval, this is more circular. So there are differences in the bokeh characteristics, and I'm very interested to see what you think in the comments below, what looks better. I'll let you take a look at this. Now looking at the Yeti sticker on my laptop, which is out of focus here, zoomed in at 100 here, I do see a lot more green tinge to the white areas. And that could be a bit more pronounced because the Zeiss does come across more cool, whereas the Leica is a bit more amber. So it's not as pronounced, but that is, the green really does pop in this Zeiss lens. Again, we do have a little bit of that green on the bright edges here, more pronounced than on the Summicron, which is, there's barely any there. This is definitely the most impactful comparison when looking at these 2 photos. It truly is night and day. So if you are in the market for one of these lenses and you want clinical sharp, you want the best picture that you can get, the sharpest picture, I'm not going to say the best because that is subjective, but the sharpest image you can get, I'm going to have to tell you to go for the Zeiss. You're paying less and you're getting an optically superior lens. However, if you want a character 35mm lens at f.2 in a smaller package, more compact and portable package, not by much, but it still is noticeably smaller, I gotta steer you towards the Summicron 35 f2. Not only is it a character lens with this haziness that you get shot wide open, but it's a 50-year-old lens. You will be paying more money for the Summicron 35 f2 version 3 over the Zeiss. However, you're gonna have a unique lens with history, 50 years old, in a smaller size. So I think there's much to be said, and it really depends on what your preferences are. Are you looking for bang for your buck? Are you looking for the best optical performance that you could find for the least amount of money? I have to tell you, the Zeiss is the way to go. But again, if you do want something that is unique, that not everybody's going to be able to achieve on their lens, and you're okay with the softness and the haziness that you will get wide open, I'm gonna have to point you to the Summicrons. So I'm super happy with this comparison. I was really blown away to see how different these were at f2 and then how similar they were at f4. It's amazing what a lens could do when shot wide open. And you know, I think that actually works in the favor of the Summicron, because you have that ability to get an imperfect shot, if you will, but you can also just stop it down and get a clean, sharp, and clinical image out of that 50-year-old lens. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. I know that when I was looking for these lenses, I was scouring the internet to find as much information as I could. So I hope if you are in the market that this was helpful and it gave you some useful information. Thanks so much for tuning into another video, guys. Remember, the best gear is the gear you have, and the best photos are the ones you take. Don't forget to keep on shooting.